Всем привет, с вами Антилар, продолжаю Fallout 4 StoryWealth. В этой серии между прошлой серией и этой я где-то вкашивал 3 или 4 часа, чтобы удалось собрать весь лут к Тайди-боту. Он все собрал, все четко. И сегодня я продолжу. Значит, смотрите. Я сделал Vertibird Blade Instigating с Handle Variant 2, которая улучшенная, и с Strapped Blade Upgrade, которая увеличивает. Настоящий урон 3000. 3200, не 22 тысячи. Также я сделал Rocket Hammer. Здесь настоящий урон 5000, не 45 тысяч. Эта штука, оказалось, использует моды от молота ракетного. Но она без модов наносила лютый урон, там 3000 почти. А с модами можно улучшить и больше. Но, как и моды для Rocket Hammer, эта штука увеличивает вес просто пипец. 164 килограмма. 164 гребаных килограмма, блин. Это больше, чем весь мой лоудаут просто сам по себе. Но у меня 715, возможно. Так, и еще Гаусс Райфл я подобрал. Как бы, да. Так, вот эти вот обычные, я с них все снял. С Vertibird Blade там есть проблема, что Vertibird Blade нельзя крафтить новые улучшения. Нужно именно, чтобы улучшение было уже у тебя в инвентаре. А если его нет, его сделать нельзя. Как видим, здесь стандарт Handle, и это как раз таки проблема. Так, вот это я оставляю, естественно, вот это я тоже оставляю. Гаусс Райфл. Отсюда мы снимаем статфаст. И можно тоже разбирать. Мне нафиг не нужно. И я, соответственно, возьму следующее. Значит, ammunition всю выложу сюда. Значит, вот это мне не надо. Вот это мне не надо. Weapons. Я выложу сюда Rocket Hammer и буду с... И OCR тоже выложу. Буду с Vertibird Blade ходить, потому что урон у него тоже, блин, просто пипец. Ну и он, кстати, очень большой. Можно такого типа Клауда косплеить. Вот, ну, примерно как Rapture, только супер гигантская. Вот, в общем, вот такая вот интересная штука. Да. Ну и Instigating гарантирует, что я убью с одного удара все, до чего коснусь. Так, все остальное вроде не без изменений осталось. Сейчас я чекну еду. Да, без изменений, черт с ним. Я не вижу причины что-то делать. Так, давайте тогда сейчас сохранюсь еще раз. Все, что собрал Settlement Tidybot, осталось в запке. И я никуда это не девал. Соответственно, вот оно там есть. Я буду играть чисто с оружием ближнего боя, потому что я никогда так не играл, и мне хочется. Вот. И сейчас я выяснил, что у нас есть еще целых 2 компаньона, которых я еще не делал. Это Одри и R404. Есть мод 3D NPC FO4, который сделан Крисом Такахаши. Крис Такахаши — это один из разработчиков самого Fallout. А вот в Diamond City есть робот, который продает лапшу. Вот этого робота зовут Такахаши. Вот это в честь Криса Такахаши. И Крис Такахаши спустя 2 года после того, как Fallout вышел, они, видимо, закончили над ним работу, ему хотелось еще что-то делать. Он выпустил мод для этого Fallout, который называется 3D NPC. Хрен его знает, почему он называется именно так, но 3D NPC есть 3D NPC. И в этом моде есть 3 компаньона. Birdie, которого я уже сделал, R404 и Одри. Соответственно, начнем мы с Одри. Находится она в Good Neighbor. Давайте я сейчас туда отправлюсь. Так. Чё, хей, блин. Сама хей. Заходим в Good Neighbor. И отсюда идем в Third Rail. В бары. Вот здесь. И Аудри должна быть где-то здесь. Давайте искать. Так, ты
Yeah.
дрифтер. Вот она.
Hi.
Oh, it's you again. What can I do for you?
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
The bar, like most things in town, is owned by Hancock, a wolf in revolutionary sheep's clothing.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
Have you met Kent Connolly? He's obsessed with some comic book character called the Silver Shroud. A 10-year-old with a comic book is charming. A grown man with a comic book is simply comical.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
Magnolia is a fine singer. She's really outgrown that stage. And by stage, I mean the development kind. Of course, the one she's standing on is rubbish, too.
Интересные
Tell
фразы.
me more about Good Neighbor.
The ex-gunner, McCready. I actually met him once before. I doubt he remembers me, though. We Mungos all look alike.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
Fred Allen is the town drug addict. You have to hand it to him. He works very hard to maintain his title, despite dozens of potential usurpers trying desperately to unseat him.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
Good Neighbor is one of the few ghoul-friendly cities in the Commonwealth. But that's not why ghouls come here. The Memory Den is the main attraction. It's an ideal stop for anyone over the age of 200.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
They call this club the Third Rail, because if you touch it, you're likely to get a venereal disease. Thankfully, I'm immune.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
If you're thirsty, you can ask the Tin Man for a drink. You'll have less luck finding his heart.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
It's unfortunate you had to use violence, but not everyone listens to reason. Aristotle's rhetoric means nothing when the listener exists outside the realm of common sense.
Да.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
The bar, like most things in town.
Uh-huh. Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
I'm not averse to a little fun. The problem is, the law doesn't always agree on the definition.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
It would be nice if we could find an old cinema. Maybe they'll have some of the classics, with Vera Keyes and Dean Domino.
Tell me more about Good
Сколько
Neighbor.
тебе лет,
When
блин?
you're a socialite, you learn to do a lot of things. You learn to dance like Fred Astaire, you learn to smile like Chaplin, and drink like Sinatra. None of it is useful in the real world, of course. But what is? Doctors help us live. Artists teach us how.
Nice.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
The ex-gunner.
Sure. Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
A good stare can be louder than any voice. Sometimes, when you say nothing, it conveys everything.
Блин, какие у него классные фразы,
Tell me
а?
more about Good Neighbor.
Some people really are what they eat. They're as plain as mac and cheese. Don't be one of them.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
Wherever you are in the wastes, the smell will undoubtedly follow. Instead of raiding file cabinets, we should be dashing them with perfume.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
If you're thirsty, you can ask.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
There's nothing more stimulating than a disagreement.
Ну,
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
A comfort zone is a fine place to vacation, but nothing of substance ever grows there.
Tell
да.
me more about Good Neighbor.
The bar, like
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
the comedians of the wasteland, always make me laugh. One of these days, I'm going to listen to their jokes.
Она мне нравится.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
The world is a circus, and there isn't a tent big enough to hold it.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
Well, at the moment, I'm juggling 3 tasks simultaneously. Breathing, loitering, and aging.
Дышу,
Impressive.
ничего не делаю и
Truth be
старею.
told, I'm not entirely sure about the aging part. There's really no way to tell how old a ghoul is. We're like trees. Perhaps if you chop me in half, you could count the rings.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
The ex-gunner.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
The world is full of has-beens, will-be's, and never-was. The question you have to ask yourself is, which one are you?
Те, которые были, те, которые будут, те, которые никогда не были.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
They say people plant trees so their grandchildren can enjoy the shade. I like to think you're building shops and towns so future me can have a martini and a pedicure.
Tell me more about Good Neighbor.
If you're thirsty, you could.
Right?
Очень классные фразы. Давайте другой
Tell
попробуем.
me about yourself. What's your story?
Oh, you don't want to ask that question, darling. When a woman's lived for over 200 years, they've been a great many people. I've been an heiress, a salvager, a mercenary, and a fool. I feel it's far better to be the latter of the four. It makes it easier to relate to the common man.
How'd you end up here?
I'm here on business. A man thinks I'm better off dead. I beg to differ. Right now, he's waiting for me in some dusty hideout with a full staff of gunners. I hope to match him gun for goon.
Anything I can do to help?
Yes, there is. Perhaps you'd be interested in being my personal goon. Or gun, if you prefer.
У меня нет оружия.
And in exchange, I will be yours.
Пушки.
It doesn't matter who plays what role first. Just say the word and I'm right behind you.
Let's go.
Our enemies are as good as dead, darling.
Блин. Какие же у нее охрененные... Вот видно, что чел, который это писал, он шарит. Да, господи. На что я нажимаю? Что такое МСТТ?
Hey,
Our DJ sounds much happier these days. Let's hope no one reminds him where we are. By the way, I've marked the location on your map. I'm awful with electronics, so
EP. Нет, это
let's hope it
Fallout.
was the right place. I'll leave the particulars to your discretion. Better if it's someone who's detached from the situation.
what's this all about?
Well, it used to be about money. Now it's about principle. I own half the combination to a private safe. A fortune our
Oh.
family has been fighting over for centuries.
Ни хрена себе.
But a month ago, I got a letter inviting me to the Commonwealth from a man who claimed to be my brother. Rather interesting, considering he's dead.
Go on.
Well, it could be him, or it could be an imposter wanting my share of the combination. Although I can't imagine anyone else wanting to kill me. Long story short, it's a sibling rivalry, except with more violence. Because unlike the Wasteland, some things never get old. On the contrary, they only get worse.
Ни хрена себе. То есть у нее наследство находится в сундуке, от которого есть комбинация. И у нее есть половина этой комбинации. А другая половина у ее брата, который мертв. И кто-то ее позвал сюда, чтобы заполучить ее
As part of the
половину.
deal, Barnaby and I will both carry holotapes with our half of the combination. Technically, for him, it's his last will and testament, since he's leaving everything to me.
Окей. Я хочу ее CA Affinity. Мне надо ее приднуть сначала, но я не знаю, как это сделать. Может, мне надо просто вот так вот. Во. Так. 31001 Е0Е. Affinity у нее тоже есть. И я ее приднул. Теперь могу ее смотреть через консоль. То есть там, видимо, что-то было в воздухе, на чего я попадал. Так, давайте квест Under the Bridge возьмем. И маркер надо снять. Погнали. Так, тут довольно близко. Валенти Стейшн. Окей. Окей. Готово? Нали.
We should be careful. Family reunions in my house tend to start with bullets and end with blood. Of course, in between there's arguments, dancing, and champagne. To be honest, I'm not sure which is more dangerous.
Тут синты мертвые. Что это, я понятия не имею. У нее какого, найс.
Well, let's see. It appears this isn't Barnaby at all. In fact, it's my older brother Arthur. Hard to be sure, given he's a ghoul, but I can tell by the eyes. They're incredibly pretentious. We should search the body for a holotape. The letter said the combination would be on that.
Окей. Прослушать холотейп. И вот это.
Well, if you're listening to this, Audrey, then I'm dead. If you're wondering how I got Barnaby's number, well, let's just call it magic. After all, I know how much you hate comic books, and mysteries even more so. Knowing how annoyed you must be is a small consolation. As for the inheritance, I am nothing if not a man of my word. My number is 14, and Barnaby's is 82. As far as I know, you already have Antoinette's and Margaret's. I won't ask how you got them. I know Antoinette was always going to be the first to die, and Margaret perished the day she tried to put her brain into that machine. For all her intelligence, it boggles the mind how stupid she could be. Either way, congratulations. You've won. Perhaps it would have been easier if we just shared the wealth like Father intended, instead of trying to outlive each other through various means. In the end, we outlive society itself. I take comfort knowing you'll be stuck forever in this awful, decrepit place.
Вау.
Hey,
If nothing else, I'll enjoy hearing WRVR back on the radio. It's certainly better than the current offerings.
hey there.
So, that's why he insisted on holotapes. Even in death, Arthur found a way to get the last word. I loved that about him, as much as I despised everything else. But I am sad that he's gone. He was family, after all. Which means the infection I suffered in D.C. has yet to subside.
Чё? Инфекция.
Maybe you should find a doctor.
I'm afraid modern medicine can't cure the disease of caring. Well, either that or the stim packs I've been using are defective. But I'm
Они не
long
работают на
past the
Гуле.
days when I saw it as a sin. In any case, we need to find out who killed him and why.
Why the glum face? I thought random murder was routine around here.
Huh. I'm just as surprised as you are. I'm beginning to wonder who I am, and what I've done with the real Audrey. In fact, the last time I saw one of my siblings, I almost waved hello. Fortunately, my insanity lasted only until the first bullet grazed my neck.
After what happened to my family, I can understand.
Thank you. Although by no means do I want to compare scars. I'd venture mine are hardly worth mentioning compared to yours. At the very least, I'm sure your family spent their days not trying to kill each other, as opposed to 200 years doing the opposite.
What do we do now?
One thing we won't do is give up. If Arthur's dead, that means someone killed him, and that person had to have a motive. Granted, that list might be infinite, so it's best we start at the top.
What do you think happened to him?
If I had to venture a guess, I'd say this is Margaret's work. You can tell by the lasers and dead robots. And if Margaret's really alive, perhaps you'll want to work together. My sister would know this, of course. See if you can't find another clue somewhere. Hopefully with an address and directions.
Угу. Осмотрите станцию для зацепок. Ну, синтов я уже лутал, там ничего нет. Давайте посмотрим. Тут ничего. Блин, откуда тут я не столько? Неужели я тут не лутал?
It's easy to see you're a fan of pre-war relics. After all, you're traveling with one.
Да. Suspicious photo. Ща. Чё?
Heads up.
So, you managed to find a way to get ice-cold drinks. The drinking buddy is going to make me reevaluate my position on walking lunchboxes.
I found this old photo.
Ah, I know the place in the picture. A pre-war cafe for dilettantes and socialites, and a post-war nightclub for hustlers and scavs. Old enough to feel safe, but new enough to be dangerous. That's my sister for you. One step ahead with two left feet. Well, we shouldn't keep her waiting. Let's go.
Это пустое! Это пустое фото. Так, мне надо сохраниться. Тут есть какая-нибудь кровать или матрас или что-нибудь в этом? Походу нет. Тут вообще немного всего. Ладно. Тремонт Стрит Speak Easy. Не помню, чтобы вообще здесь был хоть раз.
So here you are. This bar was a nice choice. Maudlin, but nice all the same.
You'd be amazed how little this neighborhood has changed. The bombs may have dropped, but the dirt is still here.
And you were never one to avoid getting your hands dirty. In fact, you're looking much better than Arthur these days.
Looking's not as good as having, honey.
It never is. I suppose the question is whether you want it all for yourself, or if you want to do this together.
I do, actually.
Then it's time you dropped this ruse. After all, you're far too nice to pass for my sister.
Heads up.
Yes, my dear.
Look alive.
Drink this. You look a little parched.
Что-то должно произойти, но что-то не происходит. Патрон. Брюс. Брюс! Это которого хотели убить. Он теперь здесь. А. Интересно. Но я рад, что он выжил. И дрить, это дурацкая дверь, пипец. Так, ну поспать здесь тоже негде. Так что мне придется сохраняться через консоль, прежде чем я буду пытаться развязать драку. Она неубиваемая. Ну, как мы видим, ни на одном из них нет ничего полезного. Так что, видимо, убивать их было неправильной идеей. Хорошо, что я сделал сейв.
Hey,
Go ahead.
Она занята. Что сейчас говорит квест? Under the bridge. Ни хрена себе тут стадий. Так, у меня пропущено 65-е. Я сейчас на 70-й. Так. Что-то здесь должно произойти, что должно продвинуть на 80-ю стадию. На 80-ю. Я сейчас нахожусь на 70-й. Я предлагаю сейчас сделать 75-ю и потом 80-ю. Если это не прокатит, значит надо будет остальные фазы переделывать. Так, давайте посмотрим еще Get Stage. Я на 70-й, как и следовало ожидать. Значит, 75-е.
Hey, I'm at your command, darling. Pray you don't ask for anything foolish.
Ничего не произошло. Давайте попробуем 80-ю. Видимо, должен быть какой-то диалог.
So what have you been up to, sister? Still shooting raiders for kicks?
Yes, but not intentionally. Nowadays, they just force my hand. And you?
Oh, the same old. Forever building the better mousetrap, as you like to call it.
And have you caught many mice with this contraption of yours?
I've caught enough.
hey.
Watch yourself around Audrey. She's not as smart as she sounds.
Hey,
There was a time when the idea of friendships would feel outlandish. Yes, my dear?
it would be nice to know more about you.
Sure, why not? I haven't traveled with anyone since I left DC, so it's nice to have someone to confide in.
What were you doing in the Capital Wasteland?
I was looking for my brother Barnaby. That's where he ostensibly died. On the way, I met a few people in blue jumpsuits. One of them saved my life. The other gave it meaning. But that's a story for another time.
Это отсылка на Fallout 3, естественно. И, видимо, она там тоже была.
What's it like, being a ghoul?
Well, that mostly depends on what kind of human you were. If you were vain, I imagine it would be full of self-loathing. Me, I'm incredibly vain.
I don't have any more questions. would be nice to know more about you.
And you as well.
That's all for now.
Of course, my dear.
Окей. Видимо, вот это ее
Hey
сестра.
there.
Watch yourself around Audrey. She's not
Это
as smart as
Маргарет.
she sounds. How did Barnaby die, anyway? Arthur assumed you killed him.
He was dead before I even got the chance. Antoinette, on the other hand, is another story. The truth is, she gave me no choice.
I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. The girl killed herself. We all know she belonged in Parsons. Father just didn't have the heart to commit her.
Hey.
Watch yourself around Audrey. She's not as smart as she sounds.
Какие-то обрывки диалогов тут играют, не
It's
знаю,
up.
что с ними делать.
Just say the word.
Так, теперь мы получили ключ, и маркер показывает на другое здание. Двигаемся дальше. Да что такое, блин? Так, Джулия отправилась на выход. Так, а ты кто такая? Шерон Моррис.
Hey there. If you work, you eat. It's as simple as that.
Допустим. А ты?
Hi.
Watch yourself around Audrey. She's not as smart as she sounds.
А, она со мной теперь ходит. Нифига себе. Интересно. Ну ладно, окей, идем дальше.
Let's go.
Так, так, так.
She's down.
Gonna fucking pay for that!
No, you. Окей, это бартендер, это Аудри. Хорошо. Эти гребаные роботы, да сколько можно-то, блин?
Still in one piece.
Еще я кого-то убил, вот. Summer Estate. Я не помню, чтобы здесь была эта дверь.
The old summer home.
Ни
It's
хера
just as
себе.
tacky as I remember it.
Who cares? The terminal for the code's on the wall there. My number's 47.
All right. I'll enter the full code now. What is it you think we'll find, anyway?
I don't know. Gold, jewels, baseball cards. Could be anything. The old man was secretive.
We must have had different fathers. The one I remember would go out of his way to tell you about his exploits.
Only when he was drunk.
That should do it. Shall we?
Congratulations on entering the safe room. Your father would have been very pleased you managed to make it this far. Of course, there's no guarantee the five of you work together, and as such, further proof is needed.
You can't be serious.
As you'll note, there are 5 rooms in this house, each with a self-contained test designed specifically for the 5 of you. Pass them all, and you will unlock the main safe.
Except there's only 2 of us here.
Don't bother. It's a recording. It's a miracle this piece of scrap even functions after all this time.
Now go forth, sirs and madams, and reap the rewards that can only come from working together.
So, the entire house is a safe. I assume cracking our puzzles will be easy. The rest will take some ingenuity. We'll have to act like our siblings. Or even worse, think like them.
I'll leave that to you and your friend. You were always mocking everyone's mannerisms. Perhaps that might pay off here.
Well, I assume the kitchen will be Barnaby's. He was a fine chef. God only knows why he chose to have his servants cook for him instead. Arthur's test will likely be the stage room. He always enjoyed good play. Antoinette's, I assume, will be in her bedroom. Something violent, I presume.
Mine likely involves some sort of robotics or science experiment, so I'll head over to the lab. We can meet up when we're done.
Так, я сейчас разобью серию на 2 части, потому что, видимо, еще дофига. И я хочу, чтобы были серии относительно нормальной длины. В следующей серии продолжим этот квест. Всем спасибо, с вами был Антилар, всем пока.